For more, let's bring in Thomas Weber. He's a professor of history and international affairs at the University of Aberdeen. He joins me in the studio today. Thanks for coming in, Professor.
Thanks for having me.
Are you surprised by this resignation of Boris Johnson?
No, I'm not. I mean, I would have been surprised if you'd asked me last week, but after Friday, or particularly after last night, after David Davis had resigned, I think that it was pretty clear that it would be a question of hours or days before Boris Johnson would resign.
Do you anticipate further resignations?
Quite possibly. I think what's happening in London at the moment is that the Brexiteers are trying to force Theresa May's hand. It was quite interesting that Jacob Rees-Mogg came out of the meeting of the 1922 Backbenchers Committee earlier a little while ago and said that there is no confidence vote anytime soon. But I think what's really happening there, he's using it as leverage. They're trying Theresa May to backpedal on the commitments from Friday. But if that's not going to happen, I do think that there will be further resignations, possibly Michael Gove, possibly others, and that there will be a leadership contest.
What exactly is it they want from Theresa May?
Well, they clearly want to have a real Brexit, as they would put it, because they feel that what's now likely going to happen is ultimately the UK will still be some kind of associated member of the European Union, about which they're right. But I guess either you like it or you hate it, and they absolutely hate it, and they want to make sure that their lives' dream that they have fought for years or decades will not dissipate in front of their eyes.
Boris Johnson said in his statement, it's being suffocated by needless self-doubt. Does he have a point? Is there too much reflection? The vote was cast. Brexit is a done deal. Move forward.
No, I don't think so at all. I think Boris Johnson has, if anything, sidelined himself more with the letter. I mean, the letter is grandiose and in typical kind of Boris Johnson style. It reads more like the kind of thing that he would have written when he was still a journalist.
Right. So hyperbole?
Yeah, exactly, absolutely. It's also he returns twice to the issue that as Mayor of London, he wasn't allowed to save the life of female cyclists because of the European Union, which is absolutely nonsense. Of course, if you look at road safety, of course, the road safety in a city like Copenhagen or Amsterdam for cyclists is much higher. So if you want to make the life of female cyclists safer, Britain should stay in the European Union. So and of course, the problem is, and that's of course a problem that he has had all along, is that the referendum only asked should the UK leave the EU or not. It did not, but that left the question open as to whether the UK would stay within the single market. A lot of people at the time thought that that was the case. And in many ways, what Theresa May is now proposing is probably something for which, if there was a new referendum, she could get overwhelming support in the British electorate. But the question is whether her own party and the DUP, her coalition partner, will stand behind her.
What are the odds of another Brexit vote actually occurring, though, in your opinion?
I think very low.
Yeah.
I think there might be a referendum over a particular deal, but I think this kind of idea that we really return to a full referendum that would leave the opportunity open for Britain to fully stay within the EU is extremely low. It's not impossible. If we, for instance, see the government fall over the next 48 hours, if that actually triggers an election because no one can form a new government, then it's difficult to say what's going to happen. Because, of course, the problem in this particular context is that the leader of the opposition, Jeremy Corbyn, secretly probably hates the EU just as much as Boris Johnson does. And there's a strange phenomenon that half of the British population wanted to stay within the EU, probably another third maybe wants to be out, but wants to be in good relations. But none of the leaders of those two constituencies are in a position of power at the moment. But it is, of course, possible, if now everything falls, if there is an election, that there might be a major realignment in British politics.
It's going to be very interesting to watch over the next 24, 48 hours.
Absolutely.
OK. Professor Weber, thank you so much. Thomas Weber is with the University of Aberdeen.
Thank you for having me.